Hey guys, Matt Allen here, Tim Little. Welcome back to Tactical Bassin. What we want to talk to you guys about today is rigging small swim baits. The Kitex, bass tricks, your paddle tails, your solid bodies, all those different baits that don't come with a harness already in them. Basically, there's two methods that we use. We're going to use jig heads, and then we're going to do a weedless rig as well. I think Tim will take it away, talk about the weedless rig, and then I'll explain the jig heads.
Yeah, a great way to rig your soft swim baits. We like to throw, if you're fishing like grass or tule line, something where you can you're throwing the swim bait through cover. An awesome way to rig the bait is with the owner beast hook. Chokar makes one too. Now what this hook, it's got a little centering pin on it, little screw lock. So you're gonna screw your bait onto it, make sure it's nice and centered, and then what you're gonna do, you're gonna hook the hook right back into the bait. And what this allows you to do, it allows you to fish these swim baits through grass, through tules, stuff like that you couldn't normally fish a jig hook through because the hook gets caught up on everything. You can see right there that that's a what is this? This is a 4/0 1/8 ounce owner beast hook. And works really great fishing these soft swim baits through grass, through tules.
Yeah, and I think it's important to add too, when we're fishing those, we don't tuck that hook in. You didn't touch on that a little bit, and why we do that, because that's important too.
Yeah, we don't tuck the hook back in. You know, we leave it loose. That way, when the fish do eat it, you hit them, you get a good hook penetration, and there's not a lot of bait in the way.
Right. And now me, I like, of course, I throw the weedless rig as well, but I also throw the jig head style a lot. The jig head of choice, of course, is, you know, from Dirty Jigs Tackle, we started doing the Matt Allen Swimbait head. Of course, that's the head that I'm throwing. A little bit about that head and why we decided to go that route and actually build a head instead of using something that was already out there. We went with a 30-degree line tie, which in layman's terms, basically what that does is lets that bait stay a little bit unstable, so that it's not just diving towards bottom. It'll rock, it'll give us a lot of really good action. And then on this head, we have two different keepers, and that applies to your Kitex or your solid body, as well as your bass tricks. Your main keeper, that works best with a bass tricks, where you thread that bait on, push it all the way up onto there. It'll lock really well, but there's also a second keeper. That's a little wire keeper. I don't know if you can even see it from that far out, but there's a wire on there as well. What I do with a bass tricks, once I thread that thing on there, I reach in with my needle nose and just barely catch the edge of that, and I pull that wire down, and it gets right into the meat of that bass tricks, and it will not come off there. Now, when I'm using a solid body bait like a Kitex, instead of doing that, I keep that wire up straight, I thread that bait on, and then I take a toothpick and I drive it through that bait right at that keeper, break the ends off, and you're left with a bait that you cannot get off of that thing. I mean, it's just dialed in. It just saves a lot of money in the long run. You're not going through so many baits. They stay on really well. You can fish them a lot longer without all the headaches. I just love fishing that style.
Yeah, the toothpick thing works really well, especially when you're throwing them on A-rigs. You're throwing 3 baits at a time. You know, when you're catching fish, you go through a lot of baits, and that toothpick, that keeper design, it's awesome. You put that toothpick through, and you can catch a lot of fish on the same bait without having to go through the expensive, you know, soft swim baits. Another thing that we like to do, you know, a lot of us, we throw like underspins. You know, Matt and I fished for bigger fish here on Clear Lake, Berryessa, you know, Northern California. I haven't found the perfect underspin that has a heavy enough hook. You know, actually my buddy and I were out yesterday and he bent some of these out. So one thing we like to do, a little trick, yeah, we'll take this one. We'll put a link in the video. There's a company, Talon Word Blade. It's a little blade with a screw lock on it. And what we like to do, if you want to add a little extra flash to your baits, it's got a screw lock just like the owner beast hook. It's got the little blade, and you can literally just screw this right in the bottom of the bait. And this, you know, do it right behind the hook or so. And you know, these shad, these schools of fish, they have a lot of flash to them when they move in the water. But there you go. Now you have your traditional soft swim bait, but you added a little bit of vibration, a little bit of flash, and sometimes the fish like that.
Right.
So,
I mean, you guys, you know that we keep things really simple, you know, and that's what we're doing here as well. Instead of having 8 different ways that we rig these things, we really have 2 head options that we use. We got that weedless with that beast hook. Trocar makes a good hook too, but especially for the Kitech, like the 4/8 Kitech, that's kind of the bread and butter size for us out here. Beast makes that 4/0, and that's the perfect size for that bait. And then with my heads, the Matt Allen Swimbait head, if I'm fishing them, either single baits, like when we were up smallie fishing, we were throwing single baits, or when we're A-rigging, throwing a group of baits, that's the way to go for those. And then instead of having to have all these different heads and different hooks, like Tim said, those pre-rigged little willow blades are money. You just screw those things into either one, because you can do it on your jig head, you can put them on your weedless, just get that extra flash and get those extra bites at the end of the day. Just keep it really, really simple. There's not a lot to rigging these things, and they catch a lot of fish. These aren't giant baits. We're not trying to catch teener size bass with these, but they catch big fish, they catch little fish. It's a great way to put numbers in the boat, throwing those smaller swim baits and building confidence so you can throw some bigger baits.
one thing I don't think that Matt touched on, how about you talk about the hook that you put into this bait?
Oh yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
The hook that we use in this bait, it's a stout hook, but it's not a monster hook. And I think that's important to know. You know, like here's a fish head spin, just for comparison. It's a lot bigger than that hook. It's a lot heavier wire. But if we put this like up against the California swim jig or something like that, it's not that stout. It's a little bit smaller. It's more like what you would expect to find in a good like 1/2 ounce pitching jig or flipping jig. The reason for that is so that when you get into these big fish, you can absolutely hammer them and keep those fish pinned. But we didn't go with such a giant hook that when you're out there trying to catch smallmouth or you're trying to catch 2 and 3 and 4 pounders, you don't need 20-pound line or braided line to get that hook penetration. It's still a small enough wire hook that on a normal size fish, an everyday fish, you can fish that thing on 10-pound line, 12, 15, and you can just hammer down and get those fish. So it's that perfect mid-range size wire that'll do everything well. Really don't need more than one.
Yeah, you can go smallie fishing, you can go spot fishing, and you can go largemouth fishing, all of the same hook. It's great. I throw it on my A-rigs and stuck some big ones on it. So good job.
Thanks, man. We hope that helps you guys. Check out the website. Of course, with every video that we do, there's a write-up to go along with it. We're also gonna have a link to all these products so you don't have to run around the internet trying to find them. You'll find that at tacticalbassin.com. You can also reach out to us about the apparel, and it'll be on the website soon.
Yeah, we got hats, sweatshirts. Remember to follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook. If you guys have any ideas for videos that you guys want to see, you know, Matt and I are running out of ideas, so we always
bring those ideas on.
Yeah,
we love them.
Yeah, we encourage that. So hope this video helps, guys. Good luck out there.
We'll talk to you soon.